Hello everyone, thank you for joining the first Refugee Legal Webinar Series, Marriage Law in Indonesia. We are still waiting for the rest of the participants to join in the meeting, so thank you for your patience and we'll start in a few minutes. Thank you.
Hi everyone, good evening. Thank you for joining this session. We are still waiting for more people to join, so please be patient. As we agreed, we will start our session at 6 o'clock, but we're still waiting for someone more to join. Thank you. Right. Hello and good evening, everyone. As we agreed, we will start our session at 6 o'clock, so it took a little longer to start. Sorry for that. So welcome everyone to the first Refugee Legal Webinar session. Thank you very much for joining the session. I would like to introduce myself as facilitator of tonight's session. My name is Hussein Sharifi, and I am originally from Afghanistan. I have been living in Indonesia since 2013 as a refugee. At the moment, I am living in West Java. So before we start, I would like to remind you a few things. First of all the session will be recorded, so please be aware. If you feel comfortable to be shown your face, turn on your camera. If you don't feel comfortable, it's okay, you can turn off your camera. And second, we will discuss about the topic of marriage law in Indonesia. So we already have two speakers for tonight's session. They are Ms. Ratna, Indonesian lawyer and mediator, and Ms. Shaila, researcher and member of SUAKA. So Ms. Ratna will cover the subject of marriage and divorce for refugee and asylum seeker in Indonesia. And Ms. Shaila will cover the subject of protection concern related to marriage and divorce for refugee and asylum seeker in Indonesia. And also we have Ahmad Mustafa Abu Manga as Arabic interpreter. So he will interpret the presentation of our two speakers in Arabic language. And the third thing that I want to remind you, please do write your questions in chat box according to today's subject. So later in Q&A session, I will address your question to speakers. They will answer your question. And also our session will be around 2 hours from right now until the end. Maybe it will be 8 o'clock. Hopefully everyone can join and have this session until end. So let's start with some opening words from SUAKA chairperson, Ms. Rizka. Ms. Rizka, hello. And Ms. Rizka, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Hussein. And good evening, everyone. Thank you very much to join us in our very first Refugee Legal Aid webinar. Maybe some of us were asking, why are you, SUAKA, creating this forum? In these recent years, we all know that the resettlement rate are significantly decreased year by year. And in this 2020, the burden are getting heavier because of this pandemic. Though some of our refugee friends are granted for resettlement, the road are getting longer because of this pandemic. There are several additional steps needs to be taken before departure. I'm sorry, do I need to stop for the interpreter?
Enggak, Mbak.
Okay. So If we compare in 2019, we have more or less 80% of incoming cases related to RSD and resettlement, while the rest was related to the domestic law. But at least until August 2020, this year, we have received 41 cases, 41 cases, which is 39 domestic law related case and 9 RSD cases. We are also receive cases that SUAKA cannot handle simply because we don't have any resources for that to even providing consultation to those cases because we are not expert in that type of case. Like, for example, financial aid or healthcare assistance. So in these 41 cases, in this year, there are domestic law related cases, which is quite dominant with SUAKA. So based on that, SUAKA decides that we need to explain more about specific case based on the regulation applied in Indonesia. And we want to give this information to wider audience. And hopefully refugee community are empowered. So that's why we organize this Refugee Legal Aid webinar. We will have the next forum as a series, hopefully as soon as possible. And we try to look at this first forum first. And I must remind that all participants in this forum is not a group consultation. Means I recommend you to not speak about your specific case, individual case, or reveal any personal identity because we cannot address any of that case in this forum. We knew that the knowledge on this issue is not only ours. That's why we want to share our expertise. This not belong to SUAKA only, but knowledge belongs to all of us. Lastly, I hope that we all can learn together and taking more benefit from the forum. So I thank you very much and have a fruitful discussion. Thank you and get back to Hussein.
Thank you, Ms. Rizke, for your great speech. And now we are going to on presentation. So we will have 5 minutes for Ms. Ratna to present her presentation. So Ms. Ratna, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Ratna. My full name is Ratna Nimulandari, but you can call me Ratna or Nina. I'm an Indonesian lawyer and also a mediator certified in Indonesia. And I have experience for as an advocate and also a lawyer since like 10 years ago. And I had built a relationship with the SUAKA like 10 years ago. Then they invite me as a speaker as well. And today for substance, marriage and divorce in Indonesia. This webinar, I stated disclaimer, this is not legal consultation. This is not kind of the relationship between client and also the counsel or maybe attorney or lawyer. It's just like a general knowledge about the marriage and divorce in Indonesia, basic and Indonesian rules. And let's start it. Okay, page 1. Let's take a legal definition by marriage. Yeah, sorry. Okay. Okay, about the, first of all, I would like to tell you about the legal definition of marriage. Can you take a next page? Yeah, next page, please. Okay, marriage is kind of relationship between man and woman as being a husband and wife with the purpose for establishing happy and also.
Sorry, Ms. Ratna, for interrupting. Mr. Abu Manga, are you ready to interpret the presentation of
Okay.
Ms. Ratna?
Yeah.
Abu Manga, can you hear
Hello?
us?
Hello, everybody. My name is Ahmed Mustafa Abu Manga. You can call me Abu Manga. I am an interpreter. I will be interpreting this session. Everything said during this session will be interpreted to Arabic. So even side talk will also be interpreted to Arabic. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أنا اسمي أحمد مصطفى أبو مانجا. أنا المترجم لهذه الندوة. سأترجم كل شيء يقال في هذه الندوة بما فيها الحديث الجانبي. شكرا جزيلا. أولا أنا اسمي رتنا وأنا محامية ل10 أعوام أعمل في مجال المحاماة، ولدي علاقة مع منظمة سواكا الآن مدة 10 سنوات. هذه اليوم حديثي لن يكون باعتباره حديث بين محامي وزبون، يعني هذه ليس جلسة رسمية يعني قانونية، ولكن الجلسة بصدد نشر المعلومات، يعني التنوير. أولا سأبدأ بتعريف علاقة الزواج. علاقة الزواج هي علاقة بين رجل وامرأة. نعم. Yes, you can continue.
Okay. A legal definition of marriage by Indonesian law within the law number 1 year 1974 on marriage. The definition states that the marriage is a relationship of the body and soul between man and woman, being a husband and wife with the purpose of happy and also lasting family as founded on the belief in God Almighty. And then next page.
نعم. تعريف علاقة الزواج وفقا للقانون الإندونيسي لسنة 1947 هي علاقة بين رجل وامرأة، زوج أو زوجة، بهدف إنشاء علاقة سعيدة وعائلة مستمرة على الإيمان بالله تعالى الله الكبير. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Next page. Okay. The principle of the marriage, according to the Indonesian law, that the marriage is a legitimate for performed that according to the laws on the perspective, religion, and belief of the party concerned.
علاقة الزواج هي علاقة شرعية وتقوم حسب القانون، حسب نظرة القانون على الدين والمعتقدات بالنسبة للأشخاص الذين يقومون بالزواج، يعني الطرفين الذين يرتبطان بعقد الزواج. كل زواج لا بد أن يكون مسجل وفقا للقانون، قانون التشريع يعني. Okay.
Yeah. And two, that the other principle is every marriage shall be registered according to the religions of the legislation in force.
نعم. كل زواج يجب أن يسجل وفقا لتشريع وفقا لتشريع تسجيل الزواج.
Okay. Getting married under Indonesian law, that generally Indonesian nationals or person of any nationality may marry in Indonesia, provided they hold a religion recognized by the Indonesian government.
كل زواج يتم في إندونيسيا يجب أن يكون الأشخاص الذين يريدون أن يرتبطوا بعقد الزواج يحملون أو يعتقدون بديانة تعترف بها الدولة الإندونيسية.
Yeah. Indonesian marriage law state that the marriage is legitimate if the end performed according to the regulations of the religious beliefs of husband and wife. The institution has authorized to perform marriage in Indonesia is only two. Kantor urusan KUA. KUA is mean that the religious affairs office for Muslim, and two, kantor catatan sipil, civil registry office, and the church or temple for Christian, Hindu, Buddhist marriage.
طيب بالنسبة للزواج في الإندونيسيا لا بد أن يتم عن طريق جهتين. الجهة الأولى اسمها كانتر أوروسان أجاما، هذا بالنسبة لي اللي هو ممكن في المسجد بالنسبة للمسلمين، أو كانتر جتاتان سيفيل، هذا في الكنيسة أو في المعبد بالنسبة للمسلمين أو الهندوس أو البوذيين. Okay.
Well, so you have to decide both of them. If you decide marry in Muslim ceremony, so you must register your marriage at the local office at KUA. And if you decide marriage non-Muslim,
إذا قررت أن تتزوج زواج إسلامي لابد أن تسجل في مكتب اسمه الكيUA اللي هو اختصار لكانتور أوروسان أجاما.
Next page, please. Okay, this is general documents or requirements for marriage procedure.
هذه المستندات المطلوبة للزواج.
Yeah. First of all, is passport holder if you have any.
لابد أن تكون حامل لجواز السفر إذا كان موجود.
Two, birth certificate, a copy document.
لابد من حمل وثيقة شهادة ميلاد.
And three is a divorce document if you had marriage before leave Indonesia.
وشهادة شهادة طلاق إذا كنت تزوجت من قبل المجيء إلى إندونيسيا.
And four is kind of permit card. It's a permit card for temporary card or for getting residence in Indonesia.
أيضا الحصول على إقامة مؤقتة في إندونيسيا.
Yeah, next page, please.
Can you raise your voice, please?
Yeah. Next page, yeah. Okay, this is a requirement for the refugees legal marriage. Well, this is basic issues when the refugee wants to get married as a legally.
هذه المطالب الرئيسية بالنسبة للزواج بالنسبة للاجئين والمشاكل التي تواجه اللاجئين.
Yeah, the terms and condition because the document should be completed and submitted to the institution for marriage.
إنه هذه المستندات يجب أن توفر للجهات التي تقوم بالزواج.
Yeah, next page. So the pursuant to the marriage law in Indonesia that the marriage may be terminated by death. Second is a divorce, and three is by the court decision.
الزواج ينتهي في هذه الحالات بموت إحدى الطرفين أو الطلاق أو بقرار من المحكمة.
Next page, please. Next page, please. Okay, So this is the basic question for the refugee. Is that possible for the refugee can divorce legally? So based on
هذه الأسئلة الرئيسية بالنسبة للاجئين. هل اللاجئين يمكن أن يتزوجوا بشكل رسمي في إندونيسيا؟
Yeah. So basically, based on the lack of document that you get for the marriage, that the process marriage with the official marriage at KUA or Kantor Catatan Sipil, that the refugee cannot divorce legally.
بالنسبة للاجئين وفقا لمكتب QA المختص بزواج المسلمين أو المختص مكتب السيفيل المختص بزواج المسيحيين وأصحاب الأديان الأخرى، أنه اللاجئ لا يستطيع أن يطلق طلاقا رسميا.
Yeah, but if the refugee cannot divorce legally, but that refugee can choose separate with his or her spouse by divorce on regular path or way without impact of the law enforcement.
إنه الشخص اللاجئ يستطيع أن ينفصل عن شريكه لكن بطريقة غير رسمية، وهي عن طريق الدينية، يعني الطريقة الديني فقط، من غير أي تأثير من القانون الإندونيسي، يعني بطريقة غير قانونية، طريقة دينية فقط شرعية.
Yeah. Next page, please. So this is a mechanism of the legal divorce at the court. Means that you have completed documents for divorce, and this mechanism is conducted in form of the court of the proceeding that the plaintiff, which means that one spouse between her husband or herself who initiate and decide the divorce can represent himself before the court or by their attorney.
اللي هو الميكانيزم التي يتم بها الطلاق أو الإجراء في المحكمة يكون عن طريق المحامي الذي يظهر في المحكمة.
Yeah, I'll take a note of this presentation that the mechanism only apply if the marriage has been registered at KUA or Catatan Sipil.
ولكن هذه الإجراءات لا تتم إلا إذا كان الزواج قد تم في المكتب QA أو مكتب الجاتتان أو المكتب سيفيل اللي هو المكتب المسؤول عن الزواج الرسمي.
Yeah, and we suggest you that the divorce process shall be assessed your attorney or lawyer, because as a refugee you're not familiar with the Indonesian rules and also legal documents with which requirement as by the court.
يفضل أن يتم هذا عن طريق المحامي، لأنه اللاجئين ليس لديهم إلمام أو معرفة بالقواعد والقوانين الإندونيسية فيما يخص موضوع الزواج والطلاق.
Excuse me, sorry for the interruption. Can you please answer our questions? There are some questions that I'm asking in the chat.
Yeah, I know.
If it's okay, please.
Questions after the presentation.
Because the questions are related to the things that just that she's explaining. So I think it would be good that if she explain at the moment, because maybe later at the end there will be a lot of questions and she may not be able to answer.
Sir, you can put your question in the chat box, and we have enough time to answer your questions if you have.
I have to finish my presentation first, actually. And then I will take a note for any kind of question. So we will start to answer it. Thank you. Okay. So this is the last. So the conclusions that marriage and divorce in Indonesia is according to the refugees' perspective that shall be not considered as simple as way, and it's not easy. We suggest you that you decide that divorce as a last decision. That the lack of documents the refugees have that will be considered that legal implication of the marriage and divorce on the legal action from divorce which may has a negative impact.
الزواج أو والطلاق في إندونيسيا بالنسبة من وجهة نظر اللاجئين لا ينبغي أن يؤخذ بعين باعتبار أنه شيء سهل وبسيط. نحن نقترح عندما تقرر الطلاق أنك يعني توفر المستندات بالطريقة القانونية يؤثر على الزواج أو الطلاق.
Yeah, because the on legal action from divorce which may has a negative impact against your children, your relationship with your family, and asset. Asset means that about your, maybe you have a house, car, or whatever of the refugees since they live in Indonesia.
لأنه الطلاق اللي هو الطلاق الرسمي له تأثير على العلاقة، له تأثير على الزوجة، وله تأثير على الأبناء.
Yeah. This is my last presentation.
هذا هو العرض الأخير بالنسبة لي. شكرا.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Sister Retna, for your informative presentation, and thank you also, Mr.
شكرا جزيلا. شكرا جزيلا الأخت رتنا على التقديم الموجز والمفيد.
Okay, so our next speaker is Shaila. So, Sister Shaila, you have 35 minutes to present your presentation. So
المتحدثة الثانية هي شايلة. شايلة لديك 35 دقيقة. Excuse me, can you stop a little bit? The voice is not clear here. Maybe sure. I need to bring a speaker.
Okay, I will try to speak louder if that helps.
Yeah, now it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Brother Hussein. Thank you, Brother Abu Manga. Today I will present, sorry, I need to share it myself. Okay, did you get my presentation? Do you saw it, Mr. Abu Manga?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, I will stop my video for this time. Hello, everyone. I am Shaila. I'm a researcher and member of SUAKA.
مرحبا جميع إلى الجميع. أنا شايلة باحثة في منظمة SUAKA.
Okay, after we learned about the legal ground for marriage and divorce.
بعد أن تعلمنا عن أساس الزواج والطلاق.
We will discuss how living without legal marriage or divorce here in Indonesia.
سوف نعرف كيف نعيش يعني في حالة عدم وجود عدم توفر الزواج أو الطلاق بطريقة رسمية. كيف نتعايش مع ذلك؟
So from the previous presentation, we learned that there are legal barriers in registering marriage and legally divorce in Indonesia.
من اللي هو المقدمة السابقة، الورقة السابقة، عارف أن هناك تحديات لتسجيل الزواج أو الطلاق في إندونيسيا.
But we also know that life keeps going on.
ولكننا أيضا نعرف أن الحياة مستمرة، الحياة تمضي يعني لا تتوقف.
Life events are happening with or without legalization.
فهذا الأمر يحدث سواء بطريقة رسمية أو غير رسمية.
So today we will discuss on what is the impact of the lack of legalization and how we can manage it.
فهذه الورقة سوف تتحدث عن كيف نتعامل مع هذا الوضع اللي هو عدم توفر إجراء رسمي للزواج أو الطلاق، وكيف ندير هذا الأمر.
So the most important point is we have to make sure that our rights and well-being are protected despite the circumstances.
فأهم شيء نتأكد أننا يعني في أمان بالرغم من هذه الظروف الصعبة يعني.
Okay, first we know that the absence of marriage registration possibly prevent the birth registration.
نحن نعرف أنه عدم توفر تسجيل رسمي للزواج هذا أيضا يكون عائق بالنسبة لتسجيل المواليد.
So how about children with refugee parents?
إذا ماذا عن هؤلاء الأطفال الذين يولدون في هذه الحالة؟
First and foremost, local civil registration agency have different practices on registering even of births for non-nationals.
أنه هناك بالنسبة لمكتب التسجيل المختص بالأجانب هناك قواعد تختلف في تسجيل المواليد بالنسبة للأجانب.
The birth registration itself records birth events and legal relations between parents and children, but not necessarily establish citizenship.
Excuse me, can you repeat this again, please?
Sure. The birth registration itself record birth events and legal relations between parents and children.
أوكي، تسجيل المواليد يحتاج إلى معرفة إلى حدث الإنجاب نفسه، معرفة عملية الإنجاب نفسها، حدث الإنجاب ووجود علاقة شرعية بين الزوج والزوجة.
But not establish citizenship.
ولكن ليس بالضرورة وجود جنسية، يعني ليس بالضرورة أن يكون حاملا للجنسية.
When registration of birth in the local civil registration agency is not possible,
إذا كان تسجيل المواليد في وكالة المختصة بالأمر لا يمكن،
parents can hold on to the letter on the birth information that will help in the future registration.
الوالدين يجب أن يحملوا شهادة فيها بيانات المولود وربما تفيدهم في المستقبل في تسجيل المولود في المستقبل.
Okay. For children with refugee parents and Indonesian parents, the circumstances will be a bit different.
بالنسبة للأطفال الذين لديهم أبوين أحدهما لاجئ والآخر إندونيسي تختلف القواعد.
So in principle, Indonesian civil administration law will register children born out of legal marriage under mother's name.
عادة في القانون المدني الإندونيسي الطفل الذي يولد لأبوين ليس لهم زواج شرعي يكتب اسم المولود تحت اسم والدته.
In theory, if the mother is Indonesian national, the child can acquire Indonesian nationality.
وإذا كان المولود ابن والدته إندونيسية فسوف يحمل الجنسية الإندونيسية.
It's through maternal linkage and a birth certificate but without father's name.
Can you repeat again?
It's through maternal links and birth certificate without father's name.
What is maternal rule?
Maternal, through the mother. So the nationality is through the mother, but the certificate will not have the father's name.
وبالنسبة لهؤلاء في هذه الحالة سوف يكون الابن سوف يكسب الجنسية عن طريق والدته، ولكن لا يذكر اسم الوالد في شهادة الميلاد.
Right. On the other hand, children born from Indonesian father and refugee mother possibly cannot access Indonesian birth certificate.
So from refugee father, Indonesian mother can, from
yes.
But from refugee mother, Indonesian father cannot. Yeah.
Right.
فهي تقول هنا إذا كان المولود من أم إندونيسية وأب لاجئ يمكن للمولود أن يحصل على الجنسية الإندونيسية، ولكن إذا كان المولود من أب إندونيسي وأم لاجئة لا يستطيع الحصول على الجنسية. Yes.
Okay. However, the Constitutional Court say that Indonesian father can make legal relations with their children through the court.
ولكن القانون أيضا يقول أنه الأب اللي هو اللاجئ يستطيع أن ينشئ علاقة رسمية مع أبنائه عن طريق المحكمة. Yes.
So children who doesn't have legal documents might have hardship in accessing basic services such as education and health.
فالأطفال الذين ليس لديهم أوراق رسمية قد يجدون صعوبة في الحصول على الخدمات الأساسية مثل التعليم مثلا.
The barriers to education is often so practical and administrative.
Again, can you repeat?
The barriers is administrative because children need to present unique identity number.
فالحصول على التعليم يكون صعب لأنه الأطفال يحتاجون إلى إبراز الرقم الوطني في هذه الحالة.
Right. However, exceptions has been made.
ولكن هناك استثناءات هذا الأمر.
The recent Ministry of Education circular letter allow children's participation in the school.
ولكن هناك خطاب من وزير التعليم يسمح للأطفال بالتسجيل في المدارس الإندونيسية.
And the basic healthcare services, puskesmas,
ويحصلوا على الخدمات الصحية الأساسية مثل البوسكيسماس المستوصف يعني.
Sometimes allow basic access to health consultation.
أحيانا يسمح لهم بالحصول على الاستشارات الطبية. Yes.
So, hello?
Yes.
Okay. So, in the case of divorce, separation becomes necessary when the relationship is bad for one spouse or the other.
بالنسبة للطلاق الفصل هنا يصبح إلزاميا إذا كانت العلاقة سيئة بالنسبة لأحد الطرفين.
In this case, we have to find measure for protection.
أنه في هذه الحالة يجب أن يتوفر الحماية.
We have to remember that violence could happen in any family.
يجب أن نتذكر أنه العنف يحدث في أي عائلة.
And domestic violence is where the victims and perpetrator of an abuse is within one household.
ودائما في العنف العائلي يكون الضحية والمعتدي يسكنون في مكان واحد، في بيت واحد. Yes.
Okay, so when you feel unsafe, and we know that you cannot be. I'm sorry, there is calling for prayer here. I hope it's not too loud. And cannot be legally divorced. Is separation possible?
لكن إذا كان الطلاق لا يمكن أن يحدث في هذه الحالة فالفصل يمكن يعني.
In this scenario, a refugee woman and her child are experiencing domestic abuse and seeking for a divorce.
في هذه الحالة المرأة التي تريد أن تطلب الطلاق مع أطفالها.
From the previous presentation, we know that religious divorce is possible.
نحن نعرف من الورقة السابقة أنه تسجيل الطلاق يمكن أن يحدث في هذه الحالة.
And we can adjust the practice according to the community or the religion.
نحن يمكن أن نكيف هذا الأمر وفقا للدين، يعني وفقا للديانة.
Some religion, for example, can have the religious leader to officiate the divorce.
في بعض الأماكن يمكن لرئيس الحي أو الشيخ يقوم بهذا الأمر بموضوع الطلاق.
Moreover, in case of domestic abuse, refugee can submit inquiry to UNHCR.
بالنسبة للاجئين من يتعرض للعنف العائلي يستطيع أن يقدم شكوى، يستطيع أن يكتب شكوى ويعطيها لمنظمة UNHCR.
To separate their case number and when necessary report to the police.
مع رقم الكيس، وفي حالة طارئة يمكن أن يقدم شكوى للبوليس، للشرطة. Yes.
Okay, so where to seek for advice and referral? You can access SUAKA or other legal aid organizations such as LBH APIC.
أين يمكنك أن تحصل على استشارة في هذا الأمر؟ هناك منظمات من ضمن منظمة SUAKA أو منظمة LBH APIC.
Or contact your refugee representative to discuss.
أو يمكنك التواصل مع الممثل اللاجئين بالنسبة للمجموعة تبعك.
We will discuss what is the best solution for the protection concerns.
نحن سوف يتم مناقشة أفضل الطرق للحماية، توفير الحماية. Yes.
Yes, so in some cases, a referral will be made to psychological and medical rehabilitation.
في بعض الحالات يتم إرسال الشخص لطبيب نفسي أو إلى المستشفى.
To deal with the impact of the violence.
ليتعامل مع أثر العنف.
When further protection is needed, victims can access the safe house.
إذا كان الضحية يحتاج إلى رعاية أكثر، يمكن أن يرسل إلى منزل آمن، مكان آمن.
Okay, so what is a safe house? A safe house is a secure place for victims or witness of a criminal offense, including domestic violence.
اللي هو المنزل الآمن، هذا هو مكان يرسل إليه الشخص الذي يتعرض للعنف بسبب الجريمة أو لأي سبب آخر.
Okay. So victims or witness who are facing possible threats or harms are protected in the safe house.
اللي هو الضحية أو الشاهد عندما تكون حياته مهددة يرسل إلى البيت الآمن هذا.
So the locations are not disclosed to anyone, especially those who possess harm.
بالتالي مكان هذا البيت لا يكشف لأي أحد وخصوصا لهؤلاء الذين يعني قاموا بالاعتداء.
There are many institutions that provide safe house, both the government or non-government.
هناك كثير من المؤسسات التي توفر البيت الآمن، منها ما هو من الحكومة ومنها من منظمات أهلية غير حكومية.
Usually, legal aid organizations are part of a larger network where protections can be made.
عادة اللي هو المنظمات التي توفر الحماية القانونية هي جزء من الشبكة التي تتعامل مع هذه القضايا.
Okay, thank you, Brother Abumanga. For now, I will return the discussion to Mr. Hussein's guidance. I will stop the screen share.
شكرا لأبو مانجا، والآن سوف أرجع الحديث إلى المنسق وهو حسين.
Thank you. Great. Thank you for your lovely presentation, and thank you also, Brother Abumanga,
شكرا
for
جيد،
interpreter.
وشكرا لك أيضا أبو مانجا للترجمة يعني.
Yeah, and now we are in Q&A session, so Brother Abumanga, you don't need to translate anymore. So if there's any question, so the speaker can answer directly. So thank you for your interpreting. And we already have some question here in chat box, and I also want to remind all of participants that you can put your questions in chat box. We can see and we can address your questions to speakers according to their subject. So our first question is about this questions comes from Abbas Azimi. He asked, can you refugee card be used as us? So it can be related to Ms. Ratna. Ms. Ratna, can you answer this question?
Okay, I'll start to answer question from Abbas Azimi from session 1.
Yes.
The question is, can refugee card can be used as kitas or mean temporary permit resident card? Well, I will answer is no, because that's a very different. And also kitas means that they they have permit and they have subject to submitted to Directorate of Immigration in Indonesia, and that's a valid travel document such as visa. But in addition, that refugees is not same with the refugees card is not the same with ITAS or ITAP or permanent stay permit. And also according to the law that the obtaining Indonesian citizenship that if they has residence like in territory of Indonesia at least for 5 years or 10 years consecutive, and that's not the same with the kind of the requirement for change refugee card as a kitas. And then for the second question from Roger, but if the by accident, for example, like a refugee has a baby with an Indonesian woman, can you legalize it? Well, the answer is no, because my understand that this baby is outside marriage, or means that without marriage. So 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 Hussein, can you address first about the question before I'm starting to answer the question?
Yeah, and the second question is from Roger. The question is, by accident, a refugee has baby with Indonesian woman. Yeah. Can you legalize this? So you can
the answer
these questions,
is yeah. Well, the answer is no, because that baby was born without marriage legally. So we call that out of married children in according to Indonesian law. That according to the marriage law in Indonesia, that the child was born of wedlock has only civil relationship with his mother and his mother family. Can Abu can started to translate my explanation?
Sorry, Ms. Ratna. So for the answer, so it doesn't need to be translate. Yeah, translate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, Mr. Hussein, can you starting to explain about next?
Yeah, and we have also other question from Abbas Azimi. So the question is, can a child born from refugee father and Indonesian mother use her mother's BPJS in case of healthcare? How about other insurance?
Well, health insurance is only requirement for Indonesian citizenship, and then in this question, Indonesian mother, right? Indonesian mother use her mother BPJS in case that of healthcare. I mean that Indonesian mother, I repeat, Indonesian mother use her mother BPJS in case of healthcare, as long as she is an Indonesian citizenship, so she can get protective from the healthcare and healthcare insured by BPJS.
I will add a bit for that question, if I may. All right. So, Mr. Abbas, as we discussed earlier, because the child is registered under the mother's name, so we assume they have the birth registration and included in the family card. So, in Indonesia, when we register to BPJS, we submit the family card and each individual are protected. So as long as they are in the family card and registered for the BPJS, they can have insurance because they are the citizens.
As long as they're registered as a member BPJS.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Retna and Shayla. So still we have time to get your questions. So anyone has question, please write down in the chat box, and we will see in our speaker will answer your question.
So I will add if any question, if any needs some like protection, legal protection or whatsoever from the refugee, you can the refugee can contact SUAKA as soon as we mentioned before on my last page presentation, www.suaka.org.id, and you can find it, and you can find the contact and the address and also and so forth. So so any question, so any question from Hussein? Is there any question from section 2?
Yes, we have a question from Yusanto. The question is, if refugee women married Indonesian men and have a baby, so how does the baby get registered under the father or mother? I think this question related to Shayla presentations. Yeah.
How does the baby get registered?
Right. May I answer? So, because the first thing is that the marriage is not legally registered, so the baby is under the law will be registered under the mother's name. But in this case, it's a refugee woman. Again, from what I observed through several studies, the practice in the local registration office are different. So some can register the birth of the child, but only register again the name of the mother. I wouldn't be so sure whether or not they can be registered at the first place. And yeah, I think we have to see a specific context to answer the question, whether or not the registration is possible. I hope it's answering your question.
Yeah, thank you. And we also have another question from Abbas Azimi. So he asked, is nikah siri letter acceptable in Indonesian law? I think it's also related to Ms. Shayla presentation.
Okay, nikah siri is a religious marriage, and sometimes when the religious leaders are officiating, they give letters. In this case, I assume that you are asking about the family card. Again, the family card is under the civil registration. Under the civil registration law, so nikah siri is not registered legally. So yeah, the family card maybe not including the father's name in this case, if it's still refer to the same case that you mentioned in the previous question. But again, I encourage you to provide like a direct email to SUAKA so that we can have a more rigorous answer to your question.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Brother Shauki, if you have a question, please write your question in the chat box so we can see your question in address to our speaker. So if you have any question, you can write down in chat box.
So it is the last. I think this is the Hussein. Is this the last? But last question: can refugee marry in KUA? KUA is only accept KTP or passport. We should answer this question or not, the team, because I think it's irrelevant with my presentation. Okay.
Yeah, you can answer.
Okay, the refugee marry can KUA. KUA is the official office for marriage for Muslim, right? As I mentioned before that any nationality or Indonesian citizenship can marriage at KUA, but they have to submit it, and also they have a lot of requirement for documents. I think written documents for this, and as we know that refugees lack of documents, so cannot marriage as legally in KUA, because KUA, as you said before, the KUA is only accept the passport holder and also the ID card. So the answer is no, because as a legally they have to concern with the documents. As I mentioned before, as a general document with like passport holder, birth certificate, or ITAS, or maybe any kind of document for divorce, or something like that. So the answer is no. The refugee, so the refugee is can take a religious way, like religious ceremony only, like not using to register to KUA.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Ms. Ratna. So we also have another questions. Does marriage to an Indonesian girl hinder the refugee procedure for resettlement procedure? I think it's related to Shayla presentation. If you can answer this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry, which one? Please repeat.
The last
actually,
one.
Actually, this question come from YouTube, so you can answer. Yeah.
Oh, so I need to repeat my answer to the previous question?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you understand the question?
Yes, Mr. Yusanto, right? Right. Okay, so first, in the marriage that is not legally registered, the baby will be registered under the mother. That's the first thing. So the second one, there is the second layer of your question is about the refugee woman that married Indonesian man. And I assume based on our discussion that it is not legally registered. So in this case, it by default, they cannot register in the civil registration office, but practices again are different in each office. So we need to seek advice from the local civil registration office. I hope it is clear, Mr. Yusanto.
Yeah, the question was about the Indonesian girl. So does marriage to an Indonesian girl hinder the refugee procedure or resettlement procedure? I think it means if you marriage with Indonesian girl, it has impact their resettlement procedure or not about refugee conditions. So, Shaila, I don't know if you get that question. And we also have another question from Abbas Azimi. Is there any way I marry with Indonesian girl legally when I am a refugee? As you talked before, so now if there's anything that you can explain more about this question.
I think it's clear, yeah. When you started as a refugee and want to legally marriage with the Indonesian woman or Indonesian girl, that there's no way to get the legally, because as you know that the refugee has a lack a document. I will repeat that there's no way to get the legally marriage. Sorry. And Mr. Hussein, is there any question from Roger? Can you?
Yeah, we also have a question from Roger. So this question is, what place or consideration Indonesian government give that all babies born out marriage?
Well, I will answer this short. The consideration means that certificate that the children have a certificate with the notes from the government officially. Catatan sipil means that the children has a relationship only with with mother, family, and her mother. It's only like doesn't have an like father's name, without father's name. So they get the certificate, official certificate from the government, but doesn't put the father's name. I think it's clear.
Thank you. And
other questions coming from, you can see Mr. Hussein.
Yeah, we have other question from from Roger again. The question: what name Indonesia call babies born out marriage? They are all human.
Oh, yeah, that's illegal. That's legal, literally in the rules or law or act. But officially, yes, they put like name out marriage, outside marriage or something, which is it is relevant with the rules. And
we also have another question from Bartel, if I pronounce correct. So the question is, how about if the couple of marriage is the religion is Christian? Yes.
Okay, when you have a religion in Christian, both of you the same religion can provide you can register or you can marriage at the church, and the church will give you a certificate, put your name and your spouse. And but if you are a refugee, the catatan sipil or officially registered cannot give you that certificates, only from the church. It's only like religious path only or ceremony. Yeah. And And then I will make it fast.
Okay, thank you. We also have a question from Shauki.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of explanation. We are talking about humanity. Why is there no official registration of marriage or divorce? And what is the role of SUAKA in helping refugees on this particular issue? I think Shaila, if you can
Yeah, I think
answer.
member SUAKA can answer this question. Maybe it's a relevant question.
Hello. Okay. First, I'm sorry, Mr. Hussein, I didn't quite get the answer from YouTube. I will say for how it affects resettlement process, SUAKA really cannot answer it. It's really within UNHCR scope, and I think we cannot provide sufficient answer. And for Mr. Shoki's question, on the role of SUAKA, I really hope our friends from that is on daily basis helping us in SUAKA will answer this question. Mr. Zico, perhaps?
Yeah, thank you, Shaila. So for the question from Mr. Shauki, yeah, I understand that we are talking about humanity, and I understand that the limitation of the civil registration for whether it is a marriage, divorce, or child registration for a refugee in Indonesia is still not being clear in terms of the law. So, but SUAKA is advocating. We are always in communication with the government, with other organizations such as UNHCR, for example. We are trying to include the refugees. It is whether it is a marriage or a divorce or even child registration to be included inside the Indonesian legal framework. So it has been in the working. I think at least from 2014 we already talked about the children registration for Indonesia, and I think some of the provinces it is possible, but again it is not uniform. And what we are looking right now is the uniformity of all of the provinces in Indonesia. So not only Indonesian children that are protected with the civil registration, but also refugee children. And I do understand the confusion within this discussion. Why it seems that the refugee wedding, divorce, or child registration is being neglected, and it is something that we still working on, brother and sister, and that's why we want to give a message, give a knowledge for the refugee in Indonesia. What is the risk? What is the process? And if you cannot marry legally in Indonesia, why you cannot do that right now? And why it is risky for you to, for example, to do anything civilly in Indonesia. So I hope the explanation that being given by Shaila or by Ratna will help you to understand that right now such process is very difficult for refugees. So everything you want to do in Indonesia regarding marriage and having a child in Indonesia all have risk. So if you understand that risk, you will be more careful and you will be able to understand how to navigate, how to find solution if you have some problem. Sure, SUAKA can help, but SUAKA cannot do much of it, to be honest. I'm sorry, but that's the reality. So one of the solution that we can give you right now is giving this kind of information session. What is the theory? What is the law? What is the risk? What is the solution? What is the way of finding help? So I hope there would not be further confusion for the rest of the discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brother Zico, for answering in explanation. I hope the Shauki got the answer. And we also have a question from Sakina. What are the outcome of this baby without having any legal certification based on the international law? But I think our session is Indonesian law, so it will be a little more difficult to discuss under international law. So our speakers, if can answer, go ahead. Miss Ratna, can you hear us? Do you have any answer for this question?
Well,
What was the
from
question?
Sakina, right?
Can you repeat, brother?
Yeah. What are the outcome of these babies without having any legal certification based on the international law?
Okay, Vanena, would you have me answer this question?
Okay, I will try it, but like I said before, like I'm not telling you like these children will be not having at all for the certificate, but the certificate for the outside marriage is only put her mother's name, and that will they will not put the father's name. The children still have a legal certificate, birth certificate, but that they will put on the, like a notes is like outside marriage, because there has a is only she's only or a children the children is only having a relationship with her mother and also her mother's family. I'm not talking about the is that without having any legal certification. No, the baby still have the certification, but they put mother's names only in best Indonesian law. I think Mr. Hussein, can you put another question?
Yeah, we also
Brother
have.
Hussein.
Yes.
May I add some of the answer from Sister Ratna? So basically, any legal certification from Indonesia, like Sister Ratna says, that it is not impossible, but yes, it is difficult. So you can try, but there's no guarantee that the officer in the civil registration office would understand how to deal with the refugees in Indonesia. So the first step that you can take if a member of the refugee communities have a baby in Indonesia, you should first report it to the UNHCR. to get the UNHCR ID of the babies. So I think that would be the first step that you should do. And I think most of you already understand about that. And regarding the legal certification for Indonesia, it can be pursue after you get the UNHCR report. So I hope that would clear the issues. But yeah, it is the main answer is it is not impossible, but it might be difficult to register the babies in the civil registration office.
Thank you, Brother Zico. And we also have another question from Jen Levy. The question is about but in Bali, for getting married, only the passport is required. So can a refugee who still have a passport get legally married in there? Yeah. Sister Ratna, if you can,
That's a simple question, but yet, can refugee who still have a passport can legally marry in Indonesia? If the refugee have a passport, yes, because one of the requirement general document for marriage with legally. Well, I don't know. I can open the link of this because I don't know. Is it possible to in Bali? I think Bali and other territory in Indonesia is still have same requirement. What if they put like only the passport requirement? I think it's not officially statement from the government. It's only like information. Maybe they can take I don't know. It's like legal service or something like that. I don't know. Or if you want to try, just try it. But I cannot answer this question anyway.
Okay. And we also have another question from Sakina. So the baby is born in Indonesia territory and the marriage of the mother is not legalized by the Indonesian law. Would you please elaborate more?
What does that mean? The mother is not legalized by the law.
Just get the baby is born in Indonesia territory and the marriage of the mother is not legalized by the Indonesian law. So she
you
means
mean that the mother is a refugee or
she didn't mention that.
Sakina.
Yeah.
Maybe Sakina, can you elaborate your question because so the baby is born in Indonesia and the marriage of the mother is not legalized. You mean that the mother marriage with the refugee, so it's not legalized by the Indonesian law? So I think that I will answer quickly. So yes, the baby was born in Indonesian territory, was under like marriage law. It means that outside marriage, like I said before, that Laziko explains before that the marriage, that the children was born in outside marriage will take certified legalization from the Indonesian government, but there's only put Indonesian only put a mother's name, not put father's name. What if the parents separate? Sakina, elaborate with the what if the parents separate? I mean, it's not a problem separate or not, because the children was born in the territory of Indonesia. Is not the same with the children was born with the marriage with their parents marriage by legalization. I mean that still like baby has a certified as a legalization from the government, but only put her name or her mother's name. I think it might be clear.
Okay, thank you. And we also have another question from Aden. He asked if a refugee woman marry an Indonesian man officially, does it affect her resettlement process? Yeah, if Ms. Shaila can answer this question.
Sorry,
Okay.
we cannot answer, yeah.
Yeah.
Cannot answer.
Okay. And we're still waiting for more questions. So if anyone has a question, you can write your question in the chat box. And
I just
for
want to, Brother Hussain, sorry, I just want to add the question from Brother Jean Levy Sombatain about getting married with only passport. I don't think it is as easy as it seems, because if you look at the website, the happybellywedding.com, or even much more legal website like the one in the indonesia.go.id, one of the requirements, the document requirements, is a certificate of no impediment, which is basically translated to the letter that explain that you are not within a wedding lock with someone else. So usually this letter, the certificate of no impediment, is issued by the embassy or the consulate of your country of origins. So being a refugee, I don't think it is as easy as it seems for you to acquire this certificate of no impediment, because like the as a refugee by the international law, you are considered unwilling or unable to use the protection of your country of origins. So if you still communicating with the embassy, it is something that will be what do you call it? Will be questionable as your refugee status. So I hope it's clear also. Okay, so if the certificate could still be obtained, I still don't think it is possible, brother. But yes, we will try to put it on the parking lot, and we will find the question. If we have the answer, we will try to explain it to you. Thank you.
thank you, Brother Zico. So it is still last chance. If anyone has the question, you can write down in chat box.
Okay, I think the last
no
one
one has
really the best part because interfaith marriage.
Yeah. And the last one is is a marriage between a Christian refugee and Muslim woman in Indonesia possible? If so, under what regime?
Okay, I will short answer this question. Based on the marriage law in Indonesia, they only have regulation that the both parties means that the husband and wife is only have same religion, which provide with by Indonesian law, means that the Muslim with Muslim and Christian with the Christian, because that related to the registration. Indonesia still not allowed if the marriage is interfaith, mean that mix between Christian and also the Muslim women. They have to choose one. They have to choose one. Like for example, the husband choose to Muslim on so forth, and they have to make a ceremony. Like one ceremony means that, for example, like in the church or in the mosque, if the Christian refugees, so they have lack of documents, so we will not take legally marriage. So it's more impossible to get a legally marriage if the one is a Christian refugee and also is a mixed marriage religion. I think that's the answer. And
Okay.
from Roger, babies, Mr. Hussein, can you tell
Yeah.
the
Okay.
question before we close the session?
Yeah. I think it will be the last question, so we will close the session after answering this question. So from Roger, the question is: babies born out marriage have same law? White babies born in marriage, babies born out marriage can be master, military, doctor, governor, or not in Indonesia.
Yeah, well, that's have equal rights for that, because the different makes it different is about the certification and legalization also. Baby born out marriage have same law, yes, but they have a different with the legalization. But what if the baby born out marriage can be doctor? Yes, of course they can, but the certification and the legalization is a very different. I think that's the answer, short answer questions.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Ms. Ratna and Ms. Shaila, for your answer the
Thank you.
questions. So I would like to remind you that we are going to close this session, but before we close the session, we have a feedback session. So I would like to ask from all of you, please fill the feedback form that SUAKA will send in chat box to have a quick evaluation and recommendation. If there's any things that you want to put, you can fill in the form, and you can also give your feedback, like how did you all feel about tonight's session? Did you feel that the session was helpful enough? And do you have any input to speakers or for facilitator? So, so you have time to fill out that form, and I think have the form. Yeah, we have the form link in the chat box. All of you can open the link and go through to this link, and you can fill the form, and you can give your feedback or recommendation about this tonight's session.
Mr. Hussein,
Yes.
can you let's continue with the closing?
Yeah, we are waiting for a few minutes to fill the form. So
we can.
Yeah, it's okay, brother. We don't have to wait.
Yeah.
So you can fill this form after this session, and okay, thank you so much again, everyone, for joining tonight's session, and have a good night and be happy. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And we are going to end the session, and thank you all of you for joining tonight's session. And bye bye.
Bye.